Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. This is episode 2 of Chozen Thoughts podcast. Thank you guys for coming checking it out. Again, if you guys want to comment, leave a comment on the YouTube, or send a direct email to info@tonygaleno.com, where you can give me your thoughts and we can open up a discussion on the topic. And as previously in the previous episode, we talked a lot about self-reliance here in the state of California. But I want to dig a little deeper on another subject that really does revolve around self-reliancy, and it's going to start with a little bit of education, and I hope for a little bit of a patience in the subject, and with this open dialogue to for understanding. And I gotta really stop these notifications from popping up. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I hear it in my headphones and it bothers me. So, but again, bear with me on this, and then we'll see how we go. Okay, so there's a hot topic right now as far as professional sports and the inclusion of intergender or transsexuals, or however you want to define the class, into the world of sports. It's going to take a little bit of education on the subject. At least I feel this matters in a way. So please, again, bear with me. Here we go. All human beings on this earth, from the point of conception until the first 6 weeks, or until the first 6 weeks of the birth, all during that time are considered females. You can Google this. You can look it up for any science book. That's a proven definition. It's at that 6 week mark is when the Y chromosome provided by the male donor, if it becomes a dominant gene or dominant, gene or part of the DNA that makes that an XY, that's when the embryo develops into a male. If it stays XX and that Y is submissive, and so the XX gene, that's what makes the embryo develop into a female. Okay, so that's science. I don't think anybody can argue with science. Now, based on that, it's also scientifically proven that majority of males who are born develop denser bone structure, develop more muscle structure, and are stronger. And it's in this process that we have to determine a level playing field for everybody, right? Now, say for example, and I think, to quote Joe Rogan, if I'm not mistaken, very educated man and an awesome host, but in this process of leveling the playing field, we have to understand that men are going to hit harder than women. And I think, Joe, the quote was, imagine a little girl growing up, has dreams of being a great gymnast or top tier athlete, or competing in the Olympic Games, and wants to be hopefully defined as one of the best women in the world, right? Well, imagine if a male transitions into a woman to compete in said sport and dominates that sport and takes over that position. Well, that kind of is not leveling the playing field. And what I'm trying to get at is, it shouldn't be mandatory. There should be some place or some platform of a voluntary inclusion of all genders, right? So what I was thinking as I've been hearing this topic, is what if there was a united gender division of professional sports, the UGD of professional sports, right? And where men, women, and intersexuals, or again, whatever terminology you want to use, compete at their own free will and ambition to be the best overall athlete, right? That way there's no complaints, there's no issues, because everybody signs a waiver, they know what they're getting into. And here's a big factor on this that I think people are really overlooking. Think of the marketability of said product, of the United Gender Division of professional sports. Think about how much money can be made from such an entity. And for example, let's say for example that this thing turned into a billion dollar empire, right? Well, what if it was a nonprofit? Well, the nonprofit organization can keep up to 10%. of $1 billion, which is 100 million, and that 900 other million can go to whatever causes they want, right? It can go to mental health, which is a big one, because people who are facing these issues can get the help they need to go against this, hopefully, subdue the suicide rate. I'm not even sure I'm supposed to say that word on this platform, but I might have to strike that or mute that. But so let's call that the self-harm rate, right? Or the mortality rate of the situation. I'm trying to think about that because I don't want to get striked on this platform. Think about, there was a hot topic about prisoners who want to have a sex change, and the issue was taxpayers paying for it. Well, they wouldn't have to in this case. If this organization was established, they can do that. And I strongly agree that for example, any male who wants to be a female and can get that support from this foundation should be able to do so, but they should not be allowed to be transferred into a female prison until the operation happens, until they no longer have their male attachment parts and are recognized and surgically modified to be considered a female. Then that's when they should be transferred for safety reasons, and that way people don't get hurt. Likewise, the other way as well. I think women who want to be men should go in the same process and have their own section to do so, to live the life they want to. That's where the equality is, right? So, and there's a lot of more money that can go from this. I mean, when you're paying taxes or whatever, this is, to me, it's just a cash cow. It's a marketing decision, and it's better business to do so. It gives everyone a platform who supports this platform and believes in that concept, the need of acceptance or recognition, and people who may have a different opinion about the subject don't have to participate in it. Their money is not affected by such matters, and they go on living their lives, and I think that's a plus, right? I think a lot of this stems from the discipline attack, because, again, as I saw in the news recently, they're talking about putting literature of LGBTQs in schools. And for me, my history is that when I went to school, I had sex education in middle school. They started teaching that in the 7th grade, right? And if you're going to teach sex education, you might as well incorporate this type of literature at that age level to understand that, there's no knowledge that is not power, right? It's when it comes to the education that starts within the home, to teach people the discipline to have acceptance, to not be cold-hearted. It may not work for you, and that's every right to have. You can have which way your life to be. Again, every home decides what they want in the privacy of their own home. But as a social structure, we need to practice self-reliancy on accepting of one's beliefs, accepting the presence of one's beliefs, the right they have to pursue said beliefs. As long as no one's hurting each other or themselves, they're fine, okay? I don't agree with people feeding or using hormone blockers or any type of things affecting a child's livelihood, because I think a childhood is exactly what that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a childhood. It should be a child learning. The number one thing they should learn is discipline, because it takes discipline to learn tact. It takes discipline to learn education, to learn math, English. And as we know, as a nation, we're struggling at that big time. So to me, the most important factor is let's instill discipline of the core values of your education, being mindful of others and courteous, the tact to have both. I think that's a big thing in learning the process along the way of acceptance. But again, the education part of choices of literature should come within the same time as sex education. Okay, so I think around middle school is okay. You don't need to force your beliefs or force anything. Just let the kid be a kid. I know I'm probably rambling on a little bit. But I guess also what I'm trying to say is that, of course, when you're the age of 18, You have the right to live the way you want to live, or whatever the ages of consent or adulthood is defined in your state. Whenever that may be, if I believe it's 18 to join the military. If you're old enough to join the military and serve our country, you have the right to live the life the way you want to live it, as who you want to live it as. And again, as long as it's your life that's making your life better and it's not hurting anyone else or yourself, God be with you. I think that's a great thing. Trying to make sure I'm hitting all my points here. I try to work with a new structure this time. I actually use a notepad here and talked about discipline attack. And again, the discipline attack gives young people, children, and young adults the ability to make better decisions, because we all know that whatever decisions we make, we have to live with consequences of those decisions. And it's up to us to educate people with a sense of compassion and open sight to make the best decisions possible, because they're going to have to live with those consequences. And I personally believe that trying to quote unquote play God and using hormone blockers or throwing all this type of agenda-based influence on either side dilutes the fact of giving the said child or young adult the choice of what they want to be. You're taking the choice away. And that free will of choice is given by God. It's given by our country. And it's a process developed to be they need to make the choice for themselves. And when they make that choice for themselves, you got to support that choice and do what God said, love unconditionally, and go from there. You know what I mean? And again, back to the financial aspects, it's a cash cow, in my opinion, to develop the United Gender Division of Professional Sports. It'll help with the national debt. It can self-fund its own investment opportunities for the community. And if a person may feel different about that community and doesn't want part of that, they don't have to participate in it. Their taxes don't get part of it. They focus on what they want to do. Again, self-reliancy is the key for us to sustaining a successful future as a society, as a country, a state, city, the whole bit, right? So I think that about covers this one. So I'm gonna review this again. I feel a little bouncy even with this format. Open communication and understanding starts within the home. Let's focus on developing tact and discipline. And that goes even to the littlest details. I know this might be a little sidestep subject, but it also really connects in a way for me. I think growing up, if I would have, instead of either getting disciplined with a spanking or a belt, if I had bad grades, if I got told, all right, you need to do 50 push-ups right now, you need to go run a couple laps, you need to do some extra calisthenics and things of that nature because of your discipline and bad grades, on top of whatever I normally have to do as far as homework, I think that instills a better definition of discipline and tact, because it's going to help combat the obese problem. It'll help combat things like diabetes. I strongly believe now, in order to fix your mind, you got to fix your body. It's a process that I've developed thanks to those who are close to me. I'm 442 days sober. I have committed over a year and a half of working out 6 days a week to working on myself to be a better person and individual. And again, that's discipline and tact, which was helped instilled and supported by the ones who I love, who love me, and the ones who are close to me, which starts within my home. And sometimes you got to keep your family close and your circle close, and even small, because that support is so vital that it helps everybody, I think, in the long run, be a better person, individual. I wanted to say a joke about a saying I once heard, but I'll say it. It's basically, it's keep your circle small because it keeps your beer colder. You know, that's I know it's an offset joke of the sobriety thing, but the philosophy is still sound. You know, support the ones you love, and let's keep focusing on self-reliancy. And again, let's make some money to help with these economic values and give people the opportunities they want, because it's the American dream. The American dream to have your dreams come true, to be the best, to be self-efficient, and just to love, man. And if God is love, the absence of love is hell, then it's all cohesive, you know? So let's practice the art of love and do those two the two most important commandments that Jesus said when he was breaking bread. He said, honor thy God and love thy neighbor as I love thyself. So on that note, thank you for hearing him out, and we'll touch base later. Take care.